Kunti is offering now a very beautiful prayer, which is a long prayer. Kunti is the mother of the Pandavas, and she is always totally surrendered unto Krishna. She recognizes Krishna, who is her own nephew, as the supreme, and therefore she is always surrendered unto him, and therefore she offers a very beautiful prayer. She says, I offer obeisance unto you, the supreme original person who transcends all of nature, dwelling inside and outside, the invisible and imperishable God, existing beyond all sense perceptions. Namasye Purusham Tvadyam Ishvaram Prakrutev Param Alakshyam Sarvabhutanam Antar Bahir Avastitam. She says, Namasye, I offer my obeisance unto you. Tvam Adyam Ishwaram, you are the original supreme being. Prakrutev Param, who is beyond Prakriti. Prakriti is the material nature. He who is beyond the material nature, transcending the material nature. She says, Sarva Bhutanam Antar Bahir Avastitam, the one who abides both within and outside all living entities. So, inside the living entities, in the heart of living entities, as pure consciousness, as the very true self, abides Krishna, the supreme being, and outside, that is to say, all of the manifest universe is pervaded by the material energy which is of the supreme being. So both within and without, there is only one. So that's why even in the Chatushloki Bhagavatam, it says, just as the 5 elements are both inside the body and outside the body, and the very boundary of the body, which is the skin, is also the element. So in other words, there is no place where the 5 elements are not there from a material sense. Similarly, there is no place within or without that is devoid of the presence of the Supreme Being. So He is all there is, and therefore He is present both within and without. So she says, Sarva Bhutanam Antar Bahir Avastitam, the one who abides within and without as the Supreme Being of all, worshipped by all the great sages, the Paramahamsas, the Munis, everyone. And then she offers a very nice, famous prayer. She says, Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. She says, O Krishna, O Vasudeva, O son of Devaki, O son of Nanda, O Govinda, I offer my obeisance unto you. Go is a word that is used for both cows and also for the senses. That's why Goswami means someone who has all the senses well regulated. So Govinda means one who regulates all the senses. Then she says another verse which is very poetic. Namah Pankaja Nabhaya, Namah Pankaja Maline, Namah Pankaja Netraya, Namaste Pankajangraye. Pankaja means lotus. She says here, the one whose navel is like lotus, who wears a garland of lotus, whose eyes are like lotus, and whose feet are like lotus. Namah Pankaja Nabhaya, Namah Pankaja Maline, Namah Pankaja Netraya, Namaste Pankajangraye. Then she recounts all the ways in which Krishna has protected the Pandavas during various calamities. She says, you protected us from poison, you protected us from huge fire, you protected us from demons, you protected us from wicked people, you protected us from the missiles of great warriors like Bhishma and Drona. And now again you have protected us from Ashwatthama. So therefore, she says in one of the most famous prayers of Bhagavatam, she says, may there be calamities coming to us every step, because it is only in adversity that we are blessed with your vision, which eliminates the desire for becoming, for another birth, for desire itself. So she says, Vipadas santu na shashvat tatra tatra jagadguru bhavato darshanam yatsyad apunar bhavadarshanam. Normally, people pray to God to remove suffering, and here Kunti offers a prayer saying, let there be suffering every step of the way. So that is the greatness of the surrender of Kunti. She says that each time there is suffering, we turn to you, and you are there for us to protect us, to deliver us from the suffering, and we take refuge in you completely. When things go well, perhaps we may not remember you as much, but when suffering comes, we turn only to you. And therefore, let there be suffering, let there be calamity every step, because each step is a reminder that life is impermanent and we can only take refuge in you. Therefore, she says, Vipadas santu naha shashvat. For us, let there be, Vipada means calamity or suffering. Let there be suffering, shashvat, always. She says very beautifully, she says, let there be suffering always, because each time there is suffering, Bhavatah darshanam yatsyad, by your darshan, by your vision, by your grace, this suffering is removed each time. And because of that, there is no desire for more experience and more becoming, and therefore desire even for or the possibility of another birth. Bhavadarshanam means to, bhava means becoming, bhava means being born again, getting reincarnated. In it can be, bhava means just a worldly mundane existence. So apunar bhavadarshana means never again does this happen. Never again is the desire for experience left because of your darshan, because of your grace. Therefore, let there be suffering. So we saw already even Narada demonstrating that in his very life. When his mother passes away, he took it as a sign of grace without complaining about it, without crying about it. Instead, taking the great calamity as a sign of grace, he left his village, went into solitude, and thereby became Narada. So similarly, Kunti here also says, when there is suffering, that's actually a sign of grace, because that makes us turn towards you. And when things are going well, we may be lulled into a false sense of security, but only in moments of challenge, in moments of calamity, in moments of great strife, do we recognize the truth that everything is impermanent and all that there is ultimately only you, the Supreme Being, as the only abiding truth. Everything else comes and goes, it's impermanent, and therefore one can only turn towards you. So this is why she says, may there be suffering each step. In fact, much later in the 10th skanda, Krishna says himself to Yudhishthira that when Yudhishthira asks a question about why there is so much suffering for those who are devoted to him, he says that the way he bestows his grace is by giving suffering. He says, Yasyaham anugrahnami harishye tad dhanam shanai. He says, on those upon whom I bestow my grace, I give them more suffering. Because suffering is the way in which the conditioned being is unconditioned. Conditioning happens through false identification, and that false identification is giving a sense of comfort as me and mine. But all that is identified as me and mine is temporary, and that temporary impermanent nature is sometimes falsely disguised because of things seemingly going all right, but we are all skating on thin ice all the time. So we never know when anything can just go wrong. Starting from nature, there can be a massive earthquake any moment and the whole thing can crumble, or there can be any natural calamity like that, or there can be calamities coming from other beings, from viruses, as we saw a few years back. So anything is possible at any moment, and therefore when there is the peak into this impermanence in any form, that is actually a sign of grace. If we see it correctly, if we don't get afraid of it, or if we don't try to escape it, but if we face the truth of suffering directly, impermanence directly, then the false identification, the separation as me and mine, can fall off in that moment of calamity, and thereby one can recognize the truth of one's being. So that's why she says, let there be suffering, calamities every step of the way. Tatra Tatra Jagadguru. She addresses Krishna as Jagadguru, the teacher of the universe. So the one who teaches through various ways, so through instructions such as Gita and so on, but also through actions, and especially in this way, what she says, through even giving suffering, he teaches. And therefore, that is why she is asking for this as the prayer. Now, then she says, I consider you to be time, the almighty ruler of all, with no beginning or end, and moving alike all among all creatures, although it is you who also make conflict even happen between them. It's a very interesting verse. She says, Manye Tvam Kalam Ishanam Adi Nidhanam Vibhum Samam Charantam Sarvatra Bhutanam Yan Mitah Kalihi. So she first says, I consider you to be time. So it's a very nice expression. In fact, Krishna says in the Gita too, Kalosmi Aham. So time is a terrible form of him that he reveals in the Gita in the cosmic form, because time devours all. Time keeps on rolling. So the Sudarshana Chakra that Krishna has, the wheel that kills all, symbolizes time. So time is that which keeps on rolling, and thereby it is devouring everything that's created. Whatever comes into being is devoured by time. Whatever forms is unformed. So that time, she says, you are time. Ishanam, you are the ruler of all. Adi Nidhanam, with no beginning or end. And then she says, Samam Charantam Sarvatra Bhutanam. So you move the same way among all beings. So that is that which is the absolute is the same regardless of what particular form it takes. So whatever form there is, every form is an expression of the same one Supreme Being, and therefore everything is the same. So it's just as the sun shines the same for all aspects of the earth or for the whole solar system. Similarly, the pure being, Krishna, is the same for everyone, and yet she says all conflict also come because of you. So the Maya of this Supreme Being that gives the sense of me is what is the source of conflict. So Kali means conflict or strife. So that's why in fact this age is called Kali Yuga, which means literally the age of conflict or strife, because there is strong association with me. So conflict is not different from egoic identification. So when there is identification as me and mine, that is the seed of all conflicts, whether it be a small domestic conflict or a international war. All of this is because people owning and claiming ownership to land, to what they consider sacred places and all the rest, and then fighting over it, and that's how all conflict comes. Therefore, the very source of conflict is the sense me and mine, and that sense me and mine is the ignorance that comes out of Maya. So that is also part of the play of the Supreme Being. So that is the most mystical aspect. There is nothing other than Him. Therefore, the sense of me is also coming forth only from the same source, the ego, and all the conflicts are coming forth from Him alone as part of the play of the universe, and they also are removed through grace for one who turns towards Him. So the source of both ignorance and grace is the same one Supreme Being. There is no other energy other than Him, and therefore she says in this verse that you are the source of conflict as well as grace. That's what she says. Then she says, nobody can therefore know you, and you have exhibited most wonderful pastimes in various avatars. And she specifically recalls a particular pastime, and she says it's bewildering to even imagine that you, as the son of Yashoda, when she came to bind you with a cord, you acted as if you are afraid, even though fear itself is afraid of you. So this is a particular beautiful Leela or pastime that comes much later in the 10th skanda, which is very famous, associated with what is called Damodar Leela. So where there is the rope that is tied around Krishna for being mischievous, and he is so afraid of his mother because the mother comes to punish him, and then she ties him up with a rope. But then when she tries to tie him, she is unable to tie him, because every time she brings the rope seems to fall an inch short. So she makes the rope bigger, and then again it's an inch short, and then finally she gives up, unable to tie him up, and then he smiles, and then finally he allows her to tie. So which is very symbolic of saying what Kunti says here, that you cannot be known. So one cannot know or capture the truth through one's own effort, and therefore no matter what one tries to understand, to capture, to know, it always seems to elude understanding. There is always something else that comes up that's bewildering. There is always something missing. So until grace comes forth that reveals itself to itself, one cannot through one's own effort understand or capture it. So that's what that beautiful Leela symbolizes in Yashoda's inability to tie him until he allows her to tie him. So Kunti remembers that Leela and she says, you exhibited all these wonderful pastimes and everyone speculates various reasons for your appearance. Some say you came to reduce the burden on earth. Some say you came to protect dharma. Some say you came to respond to the prayer of Brahma, and so on. But she says very nicely, the real inner meaning of your coming is to perform deeds that can be heard or contemplated by those who are tormented by ignorance so that they can be freed of it. So the real inner meaning of the avatar is to bestow grace through his names and pastimes. So by being able to contemplate, discuss and recount these pastimes, as we just talked about Damodar Leela, there are so many pastimes. By being able to discuss these, one is able to be free of ignorance. So everything else can be done without descending as an avatar. One can destroy evil through acts of nature or through various other devices. So all else is secondary. The primary purpose is to bestow grace. And therefore, she says, that is why all the devotees constantly listen to, sing, repeat, and contemplate your stories and rejoice. And they alone who behold before long your lotus feet put an end to the stream of suffering. Shrunvanti gayanti grananti abhikshna nashaha smaranti nandanti tavehitam janaha tayeva pashyanti achirena tavakam bhava pravaho param padambujam. She says bhava pravaham means the ocean of suffering. The one they put an end to the ocean of suffering through holding on to your lotus feet by listening, singing and holding on, remembering, glorifying your names and pastimes. Shrunvanti, gayanti, grananti, smaranti, nandanti means they listen, they sing, they remember, they contemplate, they celebrate, and thereby through such constant recounting of your glories and pastimes, they only see you. Tayeva pashyanti, they see you alone, and thereby they get freed of the ocean of, liberated from the ocean of suffering, the ocean of false the ocean of suffering that comes from false identification.